Hey, what's happening, guys? Wanted to take a minute to talk to you about what it's like to have somebody by your side, and it's not what you might think. Um, when people think of by your side, they think of a marriage, best friend, family. Um, on a lower level, you can take a look at what is taking place in our culture as it relates to humans feeling that they're superior to everything else. And you'll take a look at the video here with Milo. I'm taking him for a walk today. And, Milo's not my dog. Milo is Renee's dog. And she has a story and a history with Milo and Milo's brother, who I never met, Maximus, but it was a pit bull. And Renee could always tell that story if she chooses to, what happened to Maximus. But I think that as you're developing as a person, there's not going to be something that's much more loyal to you than your pet. And, we've had birds when I was growing up. I had hamsters, and I also would observe things like lizards. And in the backyard that we had, I believe it was about an acre, plants and trees and all these things that really have a lot of value to human life, as well as what the earth is about. And as it relates to pets, take a look at what you're surrounding yourself with at home. There's a lot to be learned from watching your dog or your cat or your bird or your hamster, anything that you might have that's living. I would even suggest buying plants and growing them, bonsai tree for example, in your house, and taking care of it and watching it grow and flourish. If you're dealing with yourself and you're healthy, you can then enter another relationship with someone else or something else. And that something else could be a plant, a pet, or a relationship. And once you get past that, you then could be healthy enough as two to enter into a 3 or more relationship. And while you're working on yourself, I think a lot of people rush, jumping into a we or an all relationship, 2 or 3 or more, to suppress the pain that's taking place within themselves and to suppress and avoid a lot of the BS that's taking place with yourself. I think a lot of health that can come in dealing with your I, as I call it, working on yourself, would be to get a pet or a plant. And I have a story back. I have 2 pets that come to my mind from my past. One of them was I bought a cat named Molly, and back in, it had to be 1997, I got the cat. She was 4 weeks old, and I bought her as a rescue. And I had her for quite some time. And Molly died, I remember the date, it was November 3rd of '09. And this cat was so loyal and such a good pet. But she died at the hands of me, which was one of the worst experiences that I've had. And what took place was I was driving home, and every night that I drive home, she rushes toward me, but then always waits at the front of the house. And that night, she had, I would only assume, I could only speculate, saw something in the driveway. And so, as she stopped at the house, I pulled in, and it turned out that I had run her over. And it's not only at that, when I had pulled into the garage, I heard a noise, and I turned back, and I could see her bleeding out. And she was in shock, obviously, but I had crushed only about maybe a quarter of her body, and she was trying to get away from the pain. And it was probably one of the most incredible experiences that I've had. and you look back and you think, wow, this situation obviously was unfortunate, but that pain was real. And I think that as you look at the experience and maybe learn from it, it was clearly not something that was something that could be looked at as intentional. But you look at what that relationship meant to you. And those experiences, I believe that you need to take away from the painful ones. Because that pain is what makes you grow. Change is what makes you grow. And I can look back to 1989. I had this dog. If you guys remember, Alpha Beta. Alpha Beta was a grocery store back in the early 80s. And Alpha Beta became Abco, etc. So if you grew up in Arizona, you know what I'm talking about. I found this dog. We named the dog Ditto. And the dog was at the front door of the grocery store. We named the dog Ditto because it looked just like our dog Happy. And they were basically a couple of mutts. And I remember in '89, right around then, I went off to camp up in, I believe it was probably Payson. It was a Phoenix Suns camp. And Kevin Johnson put it on, Phoenix Suns point guard. And I came back from camp, and my dog had been put to sleep. And I wasn't able to say goodbye to my dog. So that was my first experience with pets as far as losing a pet. And, you know, that experience, as well as the experience with Molly, gives you a new appreciation for what life's about. And it doesn't matter if you're dealing with a human, chimpanzee, kangaroo, a dog, a cat, a fish, a plant. The destruction of trees is a huge issue for our earth, and the direction we're going in to continuing to build out. And you know, even in Arizona, you can see the growth that we have is taken away from the natural preserve. And going forward, you can look at relationships in many different ways. I would encourage you guys to look at relationships with your I and then your we, and see what value they have to you and take them seriously before they end, because you never know when they're going to end. So guys, just some food for thought. Take a look at that, see what's around you, see how you can improve it, enjoy it while it lasts, and I'll talk to you guys soon.